Welcome back to You Be the Judge. I'm here with Senator Robert Casey in his office. Once belonged to our former President John Kennedy. And Senator, just before the break, we talked a little bit about the terrible tragedy in West Virginia. You know, when something like that happens, you think, you know, you would believe something like that had happened in China or the Ukraine or a third world country, but you would think that by now our states would have the safety rules in place and the federal inspectors would be in there making sure that these minors are protected. You're going to be involved in the hearings. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, you would think, as you said, that after all these years there'd be more in the way of safety precautions, and there certainly are. And I was thinking the last couple of days about that great essay, Stephen Crane, you know, he wrote The Red Badge of Courage, but one of the most beautiful and compelling and poignant things he ever wrote was about a coal mine near Scranton at the turn of the century, and he talked about the inscrutable darkness, that's his words, of the coal mine, but the focus of this essay was about all the dangers, all the ways that a miner could die. At one point he wrote about the 100 perils that faced a miner then, more than 100 years ago. But even today there are dangers that we've got to be not just aware of, but vigilant about. The committee I'm on, the Health, Education, Labor, Pensions Committee, has jurisdiction over part of this question, meaning the Mine Safety and Health Administration. And one thing we have to do is make sure that not only that they have the resources to do the kinds of safety and health oversight and reviews that they should do, but make sure that they're enforcing the current law. Sometimes it's not enough just to say, well, let's add more money to the budget for this or that agency. And I know from my experience as Auditor General, sometimes it's as direct and as focused as enforcing the currently existing statutes or regulations. So we're going to be looking at that and also looking at whether or not they have the resources they need. Because it's not enough to have a government program and not enough to have an office that does oversight, whether it's on mine safety and health or the kind of oversight that happens in healthcare or any other area of our government. So we're going to take a good hard look at it and see what if anything, is missing from that oversight. Because in this case, you had a company that was a serial violator. They were violating rules and regulations for years, and you wonder why they weren't sanctioned more than they were, and why the law wasn't enforced against this company.
You know, Senator, obviously each state has a different workers' compensation program. And the state of West Virginia, I think probably through the impetus of the mine owners that have such power in that state, have so gutted the workers' compensation statute in that state that the widows of those miners who passed away, and I saw two of them that were over 61, 62 years old, will receive workers' benefits, workers' compensation benefits, 2/3 of the miner's salary for 2 and 3 years. And you say to yourself, the value of a human life, you can't do that to, you know, we're living longer, and it seems so unfair. And it brings me back to the point that I was going to make with you, that Richard Nixon, back in 1973, empowered a commission. And that commission's duty was to look at all 50 states' workers' compensation laws and develop some floors, something that we're not going to go below. And they had 19 major recommendations. There isn't a state in the Union today that follows all 19 of them. And those were Richard Nixon's. You know, we think of Richard Nixon as a conservative president.
Right.
We're coming up on the anniversary of OSHA again. Something Richard Nixon did.
Yep.
Well, we're in John Kennedy's office, but things have changed, unfortunately, and we keep sliding away from any kind of government regulation on business.
No, and I know from my own experience in state government and here that we have to be constantly vigilant in the oversight that government agencies do in all these areas, whether it's mine safety and health, or healthcare, or other parts of our day-to-day existence. Because when you have miners going into a coal mine, and a company has had that many violations, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of violations, something's wrong. And it may be that there are at two levels. There may be problems at the federal government level, but certainly at the state government level as well.
Now, unfortunately, in a community like that in West Virginia, if there was criminal negligence, it probably isn't going to be brought to light because of the power of the coal mines. And as sad as it is, it's a fact, and I hope I'm wrong. And if, in fact, the states have a responsibility, frequently the miners' interest is secondary to the owners of those mines. And it's a sad commentary on America in the 20th century and there in the 21st century. But when we come back, I'd like to shift gears a little bit with you, if I can, and talk about the health care bill that was passed, because that impacts so much on the folks that I see every day who've needed the government's help, and it was, I think, a great example of government intervention and something that is so important. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned to You Be the Judge.